Over the weekend, many of our late night hitting spots around the town, right? And even during the week, there's those who work late hours. And while there used to be places you could go to grab a bite to eat or even grocery shop at late hours, they are becoming fewer and fewer. So what happened to 24/7 businesses? Good question here tonight. Since the pandemic, a number of businesses that used to be open 24/7 have just not gone back to it. Walmart recently said it has no plans to go back to their 24/7 model. We can only find a handful of pharmacies like CVS or Walgreens that say they're always open. Only about half of IHOPs are back to being 24/7, but we didn't see any of those in our area. And about 75% of Denny's are open 24 hours again, and that does include the one in North Charlotte, according to its listings. And of course, there's the old reliable Waffle House. It says nearly all of its 2,000 restaurants are back to running 24 hours again. So why is being open 24/7 so hard these days?
People don't like working at night. I mean, you're by yourself. You have to walk out in the street and get mugged in some places, so it's not so much fun.
So it's not consumers necessarily, it's just that the labor isn't there to keep these places going?
The labor's there, but people don't like it, and they therefore demand a higher rate of pay for working at night, and employers are better off not bothering with it.
Has this accelerated in any way, given what we saw sort of with wages during the pandemic, right, when sort of labor became tight in some places? Did that play a role in this?
No, in fact, quite the contrary. You'd think in good times for workers, they're not going to want to work at those lousy hours in good days. But in fact, because of tremendous demand from working at home, people were doing more and more at night. But just very briefly, it was a blip. It's the kind of thing, the pandemic, people went crazy, and now its effects have essentially almost disappeared.
Since this has been going on since the 70s, I think, again, a lot of people would assume, well, this is the rise of Amazon, this is the rise of the internet that's doing all of this. It's more than that?
It's much more than that. People just don't want to work. We've looked at what might be causing it. A little bit is the change in industrial structure, but the big thing is the change in people's ability to insist on working in good times. In particular, higher education, you don't want to work at night, and you don't have to anymore. You can make it up at other times of the day.
Has it affected bottom lines of companies in any way?
I assume companies do what's best for them. I'm sure in the brief changes we saw during COVID, yes, it mattered. But over time, I don't see much difference on this, no.
Because I guess you would think about it, right? If there was profit to be made, like serious profit to be made in that hour, the rest of the scales around pay and everything else would adjust, correct?
Exactly. If people really wanted to work at those lousy times, they would do so, be a bigger supply of workers, employers could get away with a lower rate of pay, and they would be slightly better off. But we don't see that kind of switch, quite the contrary.
Do you see any scenario where this changes around?
Despite most economists loving to predict things, I hate predicting, but I'll do it for you. I don't think it's going to change. People are going, I hope, going to be better and better off and not want to work at these lousy times. So no, I don't see it changing.
There you go. If you ever have a wandering thought or you see something around town, you wonder what it is, send it to us. Good question at WBTV.com is the email address, and we might just be able to find you an answer. The forecast is coming up next. It's important. Stick around.